You sense one of your pals, Hoodle?
Feels like I'm melting.
Calaglia was pretty hot, but at least the air there was dry. Out here, it feels like I'm trying to walk through thick soup.
I can hardly breathe, it's so stuffy. And don't get me started on the insects. You hanging in there, Hoodle?
It's brutal, all right. I can feel my energy being drained away just by walking. All this vegetation makes it hard to keep an eye out. Keep your wits about you, everyone. And watch you don't keel over while you're at it.
What's needed at times like these is a relaxing hot spring. That would soon help us adjust.
And where do you expect us to find one of those?
What about you, Alphen? All that gear, and you hardly seem to be breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I guess when you've lived a life devoid of pain for as long as I have, even feeling hot and bothered can be a welcome change.
Well, lucky you, I guess. Just don't expect us to carry you when you pass out.
Seriously? Is this a joke?
Be still! Mirage! It's over!
I'll take out the legs with my shield.
Dragon Swarm!
Negative gate. Lightning
Strike!
Anything in armor is on.
Be still!
Hurricane
Mirage! Dragon Swarm!
Bloody howling.
Strike! Rising Kiss!
I'll stop its charge.
Thanks, Kisara!
Look back it! Mirage! No, you can't!
Bloody howling.
Firmament
With the earth. Stalagmite.
Strike!
Wait. Make it ready.
Look sharp!
Lightning Tiger Blade.
Could have been worse. Is that the Zoogle we were told to dispatch?
Go no further!
Here I come!
Can't get out of this.
Lightning
Medium. Nothing gets by me.
You're mine! Dragon Swarm!
Are those arms even natural?
Blow away!
Piercing.
Mirage!
Raging Cascade!
Lightning strike.
Dance in the wind!
Here I come!
Leave the ensnaring to me.
Yeah!
And the bubble is to me!
Stardust! Tear!
Glacial fire.
Here I come! Strike! I'm ready! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! Now!
Going in!
Dragon Swarm!
Reflect.
Be still! They look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Nice. No scratches on my shield or my armor.
Man, this place is thick with foliage.
I know. It feels like we're going to be swallowed up by all these plants if we stay in here.
Indeed. I much prefer the forests in Menancia myself.
Not that I don't agree, but maybe now's not the best time for Elda Menancia pride.
Gotta break through! You're mine! Swallow Blade! Raining Slash!
Denied!
More for the
You're mine!
stockpile!
Slash!
This one is they rush you! You gotta jump for cover!
This one's mine!
Charge like that could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop.
This isn't looking good!
Tiger Blade! Lion
Take this!
Power!
I'm ready! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! No chance!
Hurricane Flight!
Lightning
Strike!
Another incantation ruined.
Take that! Swallow Blade!
Mid shot!
Lightning Thrust!
Dance in the
Soaring
wind!
Light Spear!
Air
sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! I can feel my power growing! No choice! Rising Wyvern! This one's all mine!
This one's
Here I
mine!
come! Raging Blue
Hurricane
Storm!
Flight! I'm gone! That's it!
You're mine! Rising Wyvern! Stardust! This one keeps charging us!
That's what my shield's for! Get behind me!
Got it! I'll leave it to you!
Now!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! My turn! Mystic Mercy! Dragon Swarm! Be still! Hurricane
May a
Flash!
thousand gales tear you to shreds!
Glacial Fire!
Can you take it? Here I come! Dragon Swarm!
Make it red!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! A comfortable win. No choice! Take this! Resonate with the blade!
Far enough!
Tempest Wall!
Hurricane
You're
Flight!
mine!
Lightning
Blow
Strike!
away! Rising Wyvern!
I'm ready!
Totally! In an instant! Impact Block! Not a chance!
Here
You're
goes!
on!
Take
Dragon
that!
Swarm!
Wait!
Let
Thanks.
cascade!
Be still!
Dance in the
You're
wind!
on!
I'm gone, Alfred!
I'll be
Take
saving
this!
Lightning Strike!
You picked the wrong fight! Dragon
Lightning
Swarm!
Strike!
I'm ready! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! Hey, I'm pretty lucky.
That's far enough!
Here I come! Swallow Blade!
Photon Flash!
Far enough!
Dragon
One
Swarm!
more! One
I'll
more!
be saving this one!
Lunar Arc!
Photon Flash!
Rising Wyvern! No escape!
Lunar Arc!
Tear!
In a bind? I'll face you.
You made me angry! That was a bad idea.
Dance in the wind!
I'll take you all on! Ha! Flare the Malachor!
Bestow thy mystic
Hurricane
mercy!
Flight!
Gale Force!
Lightning Strike!
Very
No
circle.
chance! You're open! Flaming Meteor!
Vermilion
Big
Glitter!
wait! I'm gone! No chance! Surprise! Hurricane Flight! Lightning Strike! Nothing gets by me!
Now!
It's not...
This one's mine!
Look sharp!
Lightning
Sickness.
Lightning
Far enough!
Rising Wyvern!
Wait! Glacial Fire! Ah! I feel sprightlier than before.
Is that the Zoogle we're looking for?
An opponent like this should be easy. Strike! What? Benediction light. You're mine!
Handball!
Allow me to
Hurricane Strike!
Dazzle! Tear!
Squall!
I'm gone!
Do back!
Hurricane Strike!
Rising Wyvern!
Lightning Strike!
Hurricane Thrust! Now or never. Mirage! You can't get out of this! Here I come! No escape! Resonate with the earth! Swarm!
Hurricane
Rising Wyvern!
Make it rain!
Ride on! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! My turn! Mirage!
Thank you.
Dragon Swarm! Small, but a victory nonetheless.
We have a long way yet to go.
Here I come! This one's all mine! Here I come! To break this night! Blow away! Thank you! No escape! Dragon Swarm! Rising Wyvern!
One more! Lunar Heart!
No dawn shall break this night! Eagle Rage!
Hurricane
Take this! Take this!
Shield and
Dragon Swarm! I'm ready!
Ringwell!
Frozen.
Hammer!
Not a chance! Dragon Swarm! Rising Wyvern! Soaring Light Spear! Resonate with the earth! Take this! Swallow Blade! Rending you apart! Bloody Alphen! No escape! Be still! Benedictine light! No escape! It's now! In an instant! Impact Clock! My turn! Be still! Strike!
Tempest now.
Spear! Raging Loop! Kisara! All yours, Kisara!
Everyone still in one piece?
Yep. I barely worked up a sweat.
What do you say we check back in on the ranch? I'm drenched in sweat.
Good food is the best kind of magic. This ice cream tastes so good.
I swear, you're always having ice cream, even when it's freezing cold out.
And who made you the food police?
No one. I'm just saying that's a lot of ice cream. Don't you ever, throw up or anything?
Did you really just say that? Try thinking before you talk.
Huh? What do you mean? All I'm saying is I'm just a little worried about you, okay?
Well, don't be. I can have ice cream whenever I want.
You say that, but you know what's gonna happen if you keep eating ice cream all the time.
It's none of your business what I eat or how often.
Arguing over the consumption of a frozen dairy product. Ah, to be young.
Naive might be more accurate.
Rinwell, mind if we chat a little?
You're still awake?
I've always been something of a night owl. Ever since back when I was someone's property. Turning in for the night only made the next day come quicker. I wasn't in any great rush.
Sorry.
What about yourself? Care to share something from before I knew you? You were part of a mage clan, right? Must have been handy being able to rely on magic for everything.
Hardly. In fact, not at all. Magic's not so special when you're not allowed to use it. Always scared of who might be watching?
Right. Sorry about that. I guess I've read too many fairy tales.
We were still made to study it every day. It doesn't make any sense if you think about it, studying the very thing you're being persecuted for. But that's what we did, just like our parents and their parents before them. Honestly, I don't even know how far back it goes.
If memory serves, mages have been the stuff of legend for ages. Even as far back as 3 centuries ago, they were myths. Your people were persecuted even before the Renans got here.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the less it makes sense though. I mean, it was astral arts that let the Renans dominate Dana, right? Why didn't mages end up being the rulers of Dana then?
Maybe they tried, but they just didn't have the numbers. Or maybe domination just wasn't something they were interested in. Have you ever considered it might have been something like that?
I guess I haven't.
I wonder why magic alone attracted the attention it did. Swords can be just as lethal in the right hands. Why not ban them?
My best guess? Swordsmanship can be learned by anyone. Magic's more of an exclusive club.
So, you either have the gift or you don't. When something's not easily obtainable, it's hard to comprehend. People are scared of what they don't understand. And fear leads to persecution. So the problem's not magic. It could just as easily have been anything.
Yeah. Night, everyone! Another day, another Gald. I think Hoodle senses an owl around here.
Okay.
Okay. Yes!
What?
Really? Dohalim. Dohalim, I'm going to look into some seasonal fishing spots.
By all means.
Leave the preparations to me as well. I'll bring the rods. Would you prefer your fish served grilled or raw?
I'll trust your judgment, Kisara.
I think Hoodle Poodle senses an owl around here.
Coming through! On guard! Eat dirt!
Hurricane Florida!
Arctic waterfall!
This one's mine!
Dragon Swarm!
Rocket
Blew away!
Air pressure! Lunar arc!
You're mine!
Hope this works!
I'll stop its charge!
Thanks, Kisara!
Rising Falcon! Slash! Dragon Swarm! Now! Tear! Soaring Light Spear!
Hurricane strike!
Vanquish darkness!
You're mine! Slash! Dragon Swarm! Rising Wyvern!
Divine Streak!
Soaring Light Spear!
Make it rain!
Totally! In an instant! Impact Block!
My exploits are bearing fruit.
What's with that shining foe over there?
Brace yourselves! This one's tough! Portal Blade! Hurricane Flood! Okay!
I'll take you all on! Ha! Flare Demolisher!
Be still!
Look sharp!
Rising
One
Falcon!
more! Flaming Meteor!
Raging Storm!
Rising Wyvern!
Glacial Fire! One more!
Dance in the wind! Dance in the wind! Field! Marvin!
I'm hurt bad!
Nuisance! A whirling trouble! Magic is there!
Nicole!
Forgive me. This is my
Here I come! Slash! Dragon Swarm!
I'm on a roll!
You picked the wrong fight!
Firmament Render!
My turn!
arts are being interrupted.
Next!
Bestow thy mystic
trained
mercy.
Squall!
You're mine!
Fairy circle.
Their arts were interrupted!
There you
With
are.
the earth.
You're mine!
Render!
Can you take it? Dance on the wind.
Arrow Swarm!
Behold, the earth pulse. Tectonic vision.
Look sharp!
Lightning tiger blade.
Vanquish darkness!
Think again. Dance on the
Rising
wind.
Wyvern! Point Blast! Mirage!
Divine
Dragon
Streak!
Swarm! Finish this!
Ridwell!
Frozen!
Hammer!
With this, I can become even stronger!
Do my best!
Take this!
Photon dance in the wind! Sleep now!
Hurricane Strike!
I'm not done! This one's all
Lightning
mine!
Strike!
You picked the wrong fight!
Strike!
Magic is there!
On guard! Hurricane
This one
Strike!
keeps charging us!
That's what my shield's for! Get behind me!
Got it! I'll leave it to you! Dragon Swarm!
Time to shine!
Dazzle! Mirage!
Lightning Orb!
Here I come!
This one is mine!
I can do without this pain! Rising Wyvern!
Lunar
Stardust!
Arc!
Mirage!
Now!
Ridwell!
Frozen!
Hammer! hammer!
My turn! Dazzle!
Down! You're off!
You're on!
More for the south side!
In a vine!
Take this! No escape! Dragon form! Be still! You're on! Take this! Swallow blade! Dazzle! You're mine!
Mercy.
Fairy circle! Here I come! Slash!
Denied!
Dragon swarm!
Resonate with the earth!
Look sharp!
Lightning tiger blade!
Hey, I'm pretty lucky. What's this thing?
What's up?
Once we get to the mountain, the terrain won't be easy. We should rest up here before pressing on.
But what about Shionne? She's waiting for us.
All the more reason to conserve our energy.
Huh?
It's not only the mountain. Hard though that may be, it's a pittance compared to what follows. Namely Volron. We wear ourselves out now, or worse still, get injured. We might as well show up gift-wrapped. Right, Kisara?
That's right. Besides, Alphen still hasn't fully recuperated yet.
I'm fine. Don't stop on my account.
Oh, really? Well, in that case, it's me who wants to take a rest for a while. Does that suit you better?
A little bit.
So, Alphen, 300 years, huh? Care to share the secret to such a long and healthy life?
I wish I knew. Once I left Lenegis, the next thing I remember is waking up in Calaglia. Everything in between is a blank.
You mean there are still gaps in your memory?
I've heard of starships with devices that can stave off imminent death by putting their passenger into a deep sleep. They're usually only intended as a temporary solution, until proper treatment for an ailment or injury can be obtained.
You think he might have been asleep in that starship for 300 years? But why? What would be the point?
Might this Naori have had a hand in it?
What do you mean?
If she's Renin like you say she is, she would have understood how to operate the starship better than yourself.
You're saying she deliberately put me to sleep for 300 years?
Dohalim, that's a bit of a leap.
Forgive me, I spoke out of turn. I'm merely thinking aloud, that's all. Shionne and the maiden Naori. After 300 years, it's not unreasonable to suspect they may be related. Shionne is nearly the perfect image of her, yes? She also just so happens to be connected to you. Is it merely a coincidence?
Like I've told you 1,000,000 times already, I wouldn't know.
Well, if you're absolutely certain that it couldn't have been Naori, then I guess I must have been mistaken. Complicated machinery can sometimes break down or have failures. Sorry for being presumptuous.
Hold on a sec. Alphen, you said the mask was to placate you, right? To keep your guilt and rage in check? And you were wearing it the whole time you were asleep, right?
I guess I must have been.
So that's 300 years you were wearing it. It's just a hunch, but do you think that the mask might be...
The reason he lost all his memories?
All but a select few strong ones, so deeply ingrained in his psyche that he saw them in the form of dreams. It's not completely out of the question.
In which case, maybe it was the mask numbing his sense of pain, too.
It's certainly possible. As for how, I wouldn't know, but the dampening effect on his psyche could have manifested itself physically as well.
I'm sorry for snapping at you back there. It's thanks to you that I feel like that we're finally getting somewhere with all this.
No apologies necessary. Reading others' feelings has never been my strong suit.
So he finally admits it.
I really hope Shionne's okay.
I get why you're concerned. But if you don't rest when you can, you're going to regret it.
She's right. We need our rest to conserve our strength.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks, you two.
No problem. We'll save Shionne. I know we will.
I'll see you again tomorrow.
Alone. I'm all alone.
Let's go. We don't want to keep Shionne waiting.
I always hear you muttering to yourself whenever we're in battle. So, just what are you saying?
Why do you want to know? Does it bother you or something?
Not really. It's just the way you talk is sometimes kind of creepy. So I was wondering if you vent your frustration through your magic. Are you yelling, "You stupid jerk," or something like that to pump yourself up?
What? No, that's not what's happening during my incantations. I'm just focused, so I match my tone to fit the mood of whatever I'm trying to invoke.
Invoke?
How do I put it? Basically, the elemental astral energy behind each art, I guess.
Astral energy? Hold on, are you saying you can talk to astral energy?
Not exactly. But if I put emotion into what I say, it's easier for me to properly cast my arts. That makes sense?
Kind of. Okay, so if you can talk to astral energy, then you can ask it to, like, predict the weather or find secret treasure?
Wait, you don't really think that, do you?
Or you can ask it to send down lightning to where there's bad guys lurking and...
May lightning condemn those who bear false! Thunderblade!
Ah, what are you doing? You almost fried me with that!
I just asked the astral energy to send down lightning where there were annoying boys.
I don't know what to do. Things can't go on like this.
What do you mean?
Ah! Oh, it's you, Rinwell.
You were talking about me, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. I've just been thinking about some things.
Really? How unusual.
Cut it out. I'm being serious here.
Sorry.
I was thinking about... You know how I used to work for Ganabelt back when I was in Cyslodia?
Yeah, of course. You were brought in after the Snake Eyes killed your friends, right? I mean, you had to.
Right. I used to have nightmares about it when I fell asleep. But lately that's been happening a lot less. I don't know how to feel about that.
That's a good thing, isn't it? You should be happy.
Yeah, but... I did a lot of terrible things back then. And I'm scared I'm starting to forget what I did.
Okay, so let me just get all of this straight. You think you'll forget everything if you stop having those nightmares? Why?
Because... You know me. I'm freaking stupid.
But it sure doesn't sound to me like you've forgotten.
Well, yeah, but still.
I don't think those nightmares going away means you've forgotten. Maybe it's a sign that you've come to terms with what you did.
Come to terms? You mean like Alphen with his past? You think that's what's happening?
Yeah, I do. You're pretty amazing, Law.
I am?
Yeah. Not all of us have figured out how to accept our pasts. Least of all, me.
Rinwell.
That's what we're going to climb?
The villagers managed it on their escape from the city. We're going in the opposite direction, but where there's a will...
There's always a way, right? And it looks like we're out of options. Let's grit our teeth and go. Is it just me, or does Rinwell suddenly seem much more comfortable around Dohalim than she used to?
I noticed that too. When the two of them came and found me together back on the beach, I could hardly believe my eyes.
It's not like we had a choice or anything. Law and Kisara had to hang back to convince the villagers we meant them no harm. More than that, though. There are a lot of things I've still got to come to terms with regarding Almeidrea. But I guess I'm through making snap judgments based on someone's origin. At least, I'm trying to be. I guess you could say it's a work in progress.
I see. You hear that, Law? Sounds like all that hard effort wasn't for nothing.
Yeah.
That's got to be reassuring to hear. Right, Dohalim?
Not being subjected to unwarranted suspicion is certainly welcome.
Yeah, that long-winded way you have of talking, though? Not so much a fan of that.
I think that's more of a personality thing than a Renin trait.
Really? In that case, I won't have to feel guilty getting annoyed by it.
Let's see what you've got.
Take this! Dragon Swarm!
Not in your dreams! Going in!
Rising Wyvern! No escape!
It's a tool of the earth! The waters of creation, magic, and
Flash!
Lightning now! Get on in there with
Take
them!
this! Swallow Blade!
The enemy wields ours too.
You'll soon see about that!
Here I come! Swallow Blade!
Make it right!
In an instant! Impact Claw! We work well together.
Finely timed walk.
Chinese Supernova!
I'm ready! Doubling! In an instant! Impact Claw! My turn! Dragon Swarm!
Mine!
Rain Slap!
Right here! I got it!
I'm not done! Dazzle! Mirage! Dragon Swarm! Swallow Blade!
Now!
Light Burst 4!
Radiant Genesis!
This should come in handy when crafting weapons.
Crap. This injury hurts more than I thought. Shionne, sorry, but could you... Oh. Right.
Gotta break through!
Can't get out of this!
Get behind me!
Dragon Swarm! You picked the wrong fight! Raining Slash! I'm not done! I'm ready! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! Now! Start up! Luna Rondo! Now! Hurricane Thrust! Here I come! I'm ready!
Demon's Descent!
Flashing Bang!
Together, that wasn't even a problem.
No choice! Take this! Swallow Blade!
Rending you apart!
Try harder! Not a chance! Mirage!
Can't get out of this!
Take this! Dragon Swarm!
Begin!
Hurricane Strike!
It's on!
Lightning Strike!
Eat dirt!
Piercing Roar!
Mirage! Dragon Swarm!
Frozen!
Hammer!
Nicely done! Leave the enemy charger to me!
In an instant! Impact Claw! Not again! Mirage!
You've got a knack for battle.
I still plan on training.
That's what I like to hear.
Stalagmite!
I've been doing really great lately.
Little help!
Now you see what I can do! I'll tear you apart! Now I'm in the groove! Glimmer Dragon!
If it hides, just back it out again.
Hurricane! Its armor's too strong! Split it open!
Be my guest.
The water's keep that!
That's it!
Tidal wave!
Crumble! Steel! I'm ready! Well! Demons descend! Flashing Fang! Easy!
Way to go!
Armor won't save you! First strike! One
I'll take you all on! Ha! Flare the Molotov!
Nice! Eat this! Catapult!
Make it break!
Demons descend! Flashing Fang!
So, did you like my boost art?
Yeah, it was off the charts!
What's this thing? I've never stood so close to a waterfall like this before.
I bet it'd feel real refreshing to take a shower underneath this water.
You're welcome to try, but that water pressure would likely crush you to a pulp.
That's far enough!
I'm surrounded!
Not my watch!
First, bet that shell's hiding something dangerous. Glimmer Dragon! Elusive Deity!
Vanquish darkness!
Now I'm in in their defenses!
Glad you had your uses!
I'll show you how useful I can be! First strike! I'm ready! I'm out it! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Dance in the wind!
Glimmer Dragon! Look sharp! Too slow! Resonate with the earth! Stalagmite! I'll tear you apart!
Now!
Demons descend! Flashing Fang!
Was that a new skill I saw back there?
Indeed. Well, sort of. Actually, it's a family staple harkening back 8 generations.
Maybe you can just write all this down?
Backing down! Now you see what I can do!
Dance in the wind! Seal!
No further!
Lightning!
First strike!
I'll be saving this one!
On your sword!
Lightning!
Don't finish you here and now! No armor can stop me!
Remind me to stay on your good side.
Raging
I'm on it! Coming in! Watch it! Watch it!
The waters of creation magic is there!
Eat this! I'll tear you apart! I'll crush you! reflexes! Tenebrous claw! I'm on it! Watch this!
An astral creature.
That's my cue!
You're wide open!
Shut him down.
Hey, when did I get so popular? Glimmer Dragon! Anything normal is all mine! I'll smash you! I'm ready! Rimwell! Demon's Descent! Flashing Fang! Easy!
Way to go!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Wow, look what I just found.
Let's see what you've got.
I'm on it! Hurricane Strike! I'm on it! Solid Storm!
This one's mine.
Watch this! Hurricane Glimmer Dragon! Eagle Drop! Now I'm in the groove!
Arcade water pump!
I'm on it! Crumble!
This one's mine.
Eat this! Shattering! Eat this! Attack time!
I'm ready. Kisara, I'll stop your movement.
And I'll stop your life! And done!
Let's keep up the pace.
Storm! Begin! I'm on it! Elusive Deity! Just the dust! Eagle Ray! Eat this! The Tempest engulfs you! Just the dust!
Kisara, I'll stop your movement.
And I'll stop your life!
Good to know my training is paying off. Plenty to go around.
Don't mind if I do.
I'm on it! Whirling Snap! Watch this! Tiger Blade!
Breaking Storm!
Eat this! Tiger Blade!
Just hold on to your art. Here I come.
Whirling Snap! Demon's Descent! Flashing Fang! Easy!
Way to go!
Now I'm in control! Dragon Shell! First Strike! With the Hurricane Solo Dance! In a row! I'm sucking it out!
We managed to turn the tide!
For now, but things could shift at a moment's notice.
You're right. Better stay alert.
Infernal Punch! Blazing Parasite!
Vermilion Ranger!
Ready and ready! Storm! I can carve through armor! I'll finish you here and now! I'll tear you up! I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Kisara, I'll stop your movement.
And I'll stop your life!
Want to be the one to block next time?
Huh? Nah, not really my thing.
It is up. None of this equipment is really interesting.
You must really like it, Alphen. like some solid equipment. How much farther?
I don't think we're even halfway there yet. Hang in there.
Not even halfway? Are you serious?
That's no reason to give up now.
Yeah, just gotta buckle down.
That's the spirit.
This will be a delicious piece of cake.
That's enough! It's done!
How about this? Hurricane Splash!
Now, in the groove! That's enough! Hurricane Storm!
In here!
I'll grind you into dust! I'm on it! All good things come to an end. Snake could be a missile clear for us a path! Atomic punch!
Lightning
On a
strike!
roll now!
Hurricane strike!
I'll end you! Swallow dance! Burn!
Raging storm!
Eat this!
Make it ready!
Hey! Blow them away!
I'm impressed you managed to keep up.
Don't patronize me!
I'll do my best!
Resonate with the earth! Alex Storm!
This one's mine!
On your
Take that! Not on my watch! Tiger Blade!
Eat this!
More where that came from! Surge Malevolence! Blah 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 magic!
Tectonic
Hold on to your arm!
I'll finish you
Here I
here and
come.
now!
This one is mine! Don't mind if I do!
Rending you apart! Eat this! Bloody Alex Storm! On your knees!
Radiant!
I'll run you through!
One more time!
Your form is captured.
Wide I'm captivating! Your demons descend! Flashing fang! Easy!
Way to go!
Clear for us a path!
Going in!
That's one more!
Undead waterfall! In here!
Hurricane
More for the
Solo
snow!
dance!
This one's mine!
Inferno punch! I'll run you through!
Now!
Ridwell! Demons descend! Flashing fang!
My exploits are bearing fruit.
What is this place?
Careful. We've got company.
Doesn't look like we're getting past without a fight.
Watch your feet. Fall from here and it's curtains.
We're just trying to get past. Get out of our way!
Save your breath while that thing seizes a talking meal.
Then let's show it how wrong it is. Is it trying to stop us?
Blah, 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 magic crossblade!
Aim for the weak point.
This one keeps charging us!
That's what my shield's for. Get behind me.
Done! I'll leave it to you!
Start! I'm on it! Crumble! Falling storm! I'm on it! I'll tear you apart!
Show thy mystic mercy! Fairy circle!
Down! You're on!
Arcade
This
waterfall!
one's all mine! This one's mine!
In here! Get on in there with the
I'll
others!
finish you here and now!
Tempest
Deity!
More with that control!
I've let you all down.
I couldn't make it in time.
Heal!
Falling storm.
From beyond!
Look sharp.
Vanquished soul with life! Resuscitation!
Photon raging
Going in.
cascade!
One more.
No space for that!
Malevolent! Magic! Dance in the wind! Air thrust!
Resonate with the earth! Eat this!
Good call!
I'm on a roll now!
Tiger blade.
Being interrupted.
Arcade waterfall!
Elusive deity!
Dance in the wind!
Eat this!
Air thrust!
Dance on the wind!
Falling
Not my
storm.
finest. Forgive me. This is my fault.
Light after raging cascade! In here!
I owe you one for that.
More for the south side.
I'm
I
going.
hope this thing is medically important.
Nova! Eat this!
Time to shine!
Not today!
The enemy's open. I'm on it! That's enough! Crumble! Whirlwind snap!
Thank you, Sohun.
I only did what any other would.
Look sharp.
I think you're nicer than you let on.
Armor won't save you! I'm on it! Show thy mystic mercy! I'm just getting started! Don't suffer in silence.
Maybe show Kisara a little kindness, huh?
She is strong. She can handle it.
You can be really dense, Sohun.
Elusive deity! Tectonic punch! Hitting pile driver! Crescent move! Not so fast! Tiger blade!
Raging
Hurricane strike. I'll take you all on. Ha! Flare the Malisa.
Benediction.
Do it!
This one's mine.
This one's mine!
Wind astral
Lost my
energy!
focus!
Going in.
I'm ready! Goodwill! Demons descend! Flashing bang! Resonate with the
Look
earth!
sharp.
Photon
This
blast!
one's mine. Going in.
Arcade
just getting
waterfall!
started.
Freeze lancer! Dance in the wind!
So now you're getting serious?
Bloody hell!
Its wings are lighting up!
It's getting ready to attack!
Such tremendous power.
Don't face it head on.
Heal!
Do it!
Far enough. Understood. Let's try it that way.
Not today!
No getting up, please! Firmament render!
Here's the roar.
Eagle Ray!
Arrow
I'll tear you
force!
apart!
Right
Now
now!
you get through! Take this!
Let's keep up the pressure.
Benediction light.
Here goes!
Inferno
One last
punch!
one! Purge malevolence! Magic Kazam! Freeze lancer!
Their motives were interrupted.
First strike! I'll finish you here and... It was nice while it lasted.
Thanks! Just when lightning condemns!
It's on! Not today!
Time to feel some hurt! I felt fine not too long ago.
Lightning
Whirlwind
condemns!
snap! Tectonic punch! I'm just getting started. The armor won't save you.
Lightning condemns! Thunderblade!
That's much better.
Falling
Show
storm!
thy mystic mercy.
Piercing
Allow me to help. What?
Another incantation ruined.
Can't get out of this.
Timing for hero.
Benediction light.
Heal.
Tiger Blade! Dance in the wind! Air thrust!
This one's all mine!
Changing Dance strategy! In the wind! Copy that! Air thrust!
I lost my focus!
Change of strategy.
Oh, you are gonna pay for that!
Resuscitation! First strike!
Hurricane
Dust to dust!
That's kinda smart.
Bastard! I'll finish you here and now!
Tempest?
Raging Luna Storm!
Hurricane Strike!
Now I'm real mad!
Take that!
The tactics are working great!
Full speed ahead!
I'll crush you! Ah! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Tempest? Hold on to your art. Here I come!
Eat this!
Not today!
Weak now.
I'm on it!
Hurricane
Get on
Strike!
it there with
Crumble!
This one's mine!
I'm on a roll now!
Change of strategy.
Great!
Duly noted.
Storm! Up and out!
It looks like we made 'em mad!
It's time. I healed myself. Benediction light.
Heal! Now you see what I can do!
It's on! Not to...
Understood! Let's try it out!
Dust to dust!
Time to shine!
Elucidate! Roll now! Begin! Tornado drive!
My head's winning just watching you!
Lost
Dance
my
in the wind!
focus!
Air thrust! Dance in the wind! In here!
Far enough! Time to deal some hurt! Elucidate!
Hurricane Strike!
Hitting tile to
This
dust!
one's mine! Raging Storm! Falling Storm!
Raging Luna Storm!
I'm just getting started! Now!
Run well! Demons descend! Flashing bang! With fauna like that, I'm impressed so many people from Thistleum made it through here alive.
Who's to say there weren't a whole lot more of them who didn't?
Well, at any rate, it should be a safer climb now that we've cleared the way a bit, right?
No. So long as people feel the need to face terrain this perilous, I'd say true safety's some way off.
You mean defeating Volron and putting an end to the crown contest, right? I guess that would be the best solution here, huh?
We've wasted enough time here already. Let's get going. Shionne needs us.
How are we still not there yet? It feels like we've been climbing this mountain forever.
It helps if you try not to look up or down. All you need is silent determination. Talking too much will only waste energy and burn you out.
I'm too tired to look up or down, even if I wanted to.
Take care you don't fall, at least. Unless you want to make a Zoogel's day, that is.
Zoogles? Why would they care if I fell or not?
How would you feel if a 3-course meal fell right out of the sky at your feet?
Zoogle chow.
Law? Best not to listen to him if you can help it. You'll only be encouraging him if you do.
Tell me that before I listen next time.
Still, Tohalim has a point. One wrong step and it's curtains.
Wouldn't it be great if we could all fly like Hootle? I bet even the refugees who didn't make it would have made it to Thistleum that way.
Until we magically sprout wings. Let's just watch where we're stepping instead, okay? Come on. Shionne's waiting for us.
Pow! Anything in armor is all mine. Begin.
Not on my watch! Hurricane Strike!
I'm on a roll now.
Chinese Supernova!
Thank you.
It's showtime!
Whirlwind snap. I'm just
In here!
stop your movement.
And I'll stop your life! And done!
Let's keep up the pace.
One at a time!
Eat that, Atheist! Crumble! Seismic rupture!
Arrow fall!
Bestow thy mystic gift. Don't get carried away. Bestow thy mystic
Hurricane
gift.
strike!
I'll tear you apart!
Bestow thy mystic gift to me.
Thunderblade!
Very
I'm
soon.
ready! Demon's Descent! Flashing Fang! You're wide open! Rip and tear!
Hurricane strike!
Catapult! Dust to dust! I'll grind you into dust!
Now! Alphen!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
A breeze.
Easy!
And together they are but a breezy ease.
Wait, that doesn't sound right.
Hey! Are you insane? What the hell were you thinking? I thought we were gonna die!
One simply needs to be bold and act with conviction in times such as these.
Did you know it was gonna be safe before you jumped? Because I sure didn't.
More or less. I figured there would likely be a basin here akin to most such waterfalls.
Don't just make people jump off cliffs on a hunch.
Are we ever gonna finish climbing this ladder?
We're climbing a considerable height. It's only natural that it will take some time.
That's not the problem here!
We are getting closer to the top, aren't we?
You've just got to keep your spirits up, Rinla. Positive thinking is everything.
We finally reached the top.
My limbs feel like they're about to fall off.
Already? You kids need to train more.
She's right. We don't have time to catch our breath.
Someone's got a lot of pep in his step.
Discourteous, huh?
Rolling snap!
One more! Not in your dreams! Hurricane
This one's mine!
Rocket strike!
That's enough!
Hurricane strike! Now!
Light burst forth!
Radiant Genesis!
You don't mess around.
Come on, roll now!
Certainly not.
I'm ready! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Firmament Render!
Lightning Blade!
Arrow now!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Together, that wasn't even a problem.
No backing down! In a bind,
Hurricane!
I'll smash you!
They smite with
Lightning
Blade! That's enough! Crumble! What's this?
Here goes!
I'm on it! Watch my focus! Watch it! I'm on it! That's enough! Crumble!
You got company!
It's on!
Dance in the wind!
Not today!
Lightning strike! First!
I'm just old-fashioned and effective!
Glad you had your use.
Eagle Dive!
Make it
I'll show you! Demon's Descent! Flashing Fang! Easy!
Way to go.
I'm ready!
I'll stop your movement.
And I'll stop your life! Too slow!
Man, I'll tear you to shreds!
Anything in armor is all mine!
This one's all mine!
And take your farewell!
Demons descend! Flashing fang!
Lady Fortune must truly be watching over me.
You've collected an awful lot of those objects. You sure it's not just
Hush. Be quiet for a moment. The pieces speak to me.
What?
These relics that have scattered about. I can hear them whispering, longing to reunite with their lost friends and become one again.
Really? Do you hear any voices coming from them, Rinwell?
What? No! Don't get me wrong. I'm really interested in these things too, but I'm not crazy.
But don't you sometimes mutter stuff like, "Come to me, astral energy," when you cast your arts?
You're right. Oh my gosh. Are Dohalim and I actually alike?
Its charm really shines through now that it's been reassembled. Its streamlined shape, its geometric patterns. This is no mere amateur's work.
He's in his own little world at this point.
You get just like him when it comes to weapons, you know.
You're right. Oh my gosh. Am I just like Dohalim?
Huh? Why are you guys so quiet all of a sudden?
I sense a strange power from this. Guess I misread the landing.
We did it. We've reached the top of the mountain.
About damn time. My knees are singing symphonies over here.
Look, there it is.
That's it. That's Pelegion, the seat of Volron's power.
So that's where Shionne's being held?
Most likely.
Most likely.
That is what I said, yes.
Pelegion's still our best lead. So that's where we go, right?
Any advice before we head in there?
No.
No?
In the ancient tongue, Ganeth Heros means Fortress of Naught, though I fail to see what insight that nugget of trivia holds.
I guess I just thought you might have something we could use.
Since Volron became Lord, the only thing this realm has been known for is its shroud of secrecy. It is Volron's stronghold. All else is incidental. Just keep in mind that you can't be too careful inside.
Speaking of which, just how are all of us planning to get inside exactly?
It's not like there are any secret passages.
We've come this far. If there's no other way in, I guess we'll just have to use the front gate. Volron told us to come find him, which means he's expecting us. Let's do this the old-fashioned way.
Land of water or no, this place has a most curious atmosphere.
I'd be taking a dip in it if the circumstances were better.
Sorry, but we have to push through for now. Shionne is waiting.
Yeah, I hear ya. A soak can wait.
Have you guys checked your equipment lately?
I sure hope nothing bad's happened to Shionne.
Keep those thoughts to yourself, Rinwell. Everyone's anxious enough as it is.
Sorry. It's just... I can't seem to stop thinking about it. What do you think it is that Volron wanted with her anyway?
Going by what he said back on Almadria's ship, it would appear his primary target is Alphen. Though, it's likely he hasn't forgotten the blow he sustained at Shionne's hand either. That might even be what ignited his interest.
Yeah, did you see the way he reacted? It was like he was enjoying every moment. Even his pain at Shionne's thorns. Oh, that guy's just creepy.
Let's just hope he's keeping his perverted tendencies in check.
What? Law? Don't say things like that!
It's not like we weren't all thinking it.
That's still no reason to...
All right, you two. Now that's enough already. Alphen shouldn't have to grit his teeth while he listens to you.
Oh.
Sorry.
I swear I've seen that castle somewhere before. Right. I remember seeing it from the cliffs in Calaglia, across the sea.
You mean Volron's castle?
Yeah, that must have been it.
Geographically, it would make sense. It's most certainly large enough to be seen from afar.
Back then, I had Shionne and Zephyr with me.
Well, we haven't lost Shionne. We can still get her back, you know.
That's right. I won't let Volron take her away from us.
I must admit, I'm rather proud of this dish.
Dohalim, care if I hang out for a while? I wanted to ask you something.
I'm all ears.
How much contact did you have with the other lords back in the day?
I only saw or exchanged words with them on a handful of occasions. Not that I was particularly keen on even that much.
Almadria made it sound like the two of you had some kind of history together.
She was like that with all of the lords, not just me. She was always interested in who she could use, who had value for her own ends. Having said that, she wasn't quite so brazen back when we were still in Lenegus. In a sense, she may have been a victim of the crown contest as well.
Almadria? A victim?
To a Renin, there is no greater honor in life than being chosen to serve as a lord, let alone to go on and become the next sovereign. We are taught that from the day we leave the womb. There are few Renins who wouldn't be ecstatic at the prospect of ascending to lordship.
You were like that though, right? You've always struck me as a more grounded guy.
No sane Renin would ever dare admit that their interests lie in anything but power and prestige, even if they feel so in their heart of hearts.
The more you talk about it, the more it seems like the crown contest is nothing but misery for Renins, too.
Which is why I seek to end it. Not that I imagine Danins such as Rinwell are all that interested in hearing tales of woe such as mine. We'd best get ready for tomorrow. Shall we get moving?